Good morning, America.
Good morning.
Woo! You gotta come a little bit closer so they can see you. Yeah.
Okay, here I am a little bit closer. Okay, I'm always trying to make sure I don't
Reveal yourself too much.
be too revealing.
These crazy Christians out here, in the bedroom talking about a bunch of nothing. But anyway, I'm talking about a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, we don't
That's
even
what
have a
I do.
topic
Talk
this
about
morning, do
a
we?
bunch of nothing. We don't have a topic. We just want to continue, basically, from where we left off yesterday. You said that you wanted to talk about the. What's up, Veronica?
Good morning, baby. I'm gonna call you later. Love you. Lots of love to you because I know what you're going through right now. You're feeling down, but
Veronica, can we tell them what you're basically going through right now? Because somebody needs to be inspired by your story, and Judy can explain it. She told me about it last week, but if you want to talk about it this morning on the Love and the Giver, just let me know because it might inspire somebody.
I guess that's what the hearts are for. Ronnie just recently lost her husband. They were married for 12 years. I believe 12 years, knew each other for 14, married for 12, and he recently passed away. And it was hard. It was hard on her. It was hard on the children. It's also, I believe, the year anniversary of her father's passing. And that was an accidental, sudden passing. It wasn't like he was sick or anybody expected him to go. So she's under the weight of a lot of grief. And I'm very big on people being able to talk about their grief. She knows, from the past, because this is the second husband that she has lost. She lost her first husband, Noble, some years ago. And that was a sudden thing that, they came home and he was gone. So, but I'm very big on people talking about their grief, being able to have a safe place to talk about grief, and then even if they need to get the counseling they need, called grief counseling. Because, and I'm going to say this, in the black community, we feel you're going to cry and yell, we're going to bring you some fried chicken, and then you're going to be all right. I mean, we might stop in on you and we're going to tell you to come to church, but we really don't talk about the emotional toll it can take on losing something. With your mother going through her grieving process. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very big on people having a way to express what they feel, get help for what they feel, and realizing everybody grieves differently. Do not expect someone else to understand and say, oh, I hate when people say, well, it's been a year, or, he wasn't this, or he wasn't that. That has nothing to do with the person and how they feel and how they want to grieve. So I like to give people the ability to take their time in the way they feel they need to express it.
And I can relate because I don't think I grieve on Daddy, but so much. And I try to realize, like, I be thinking, how could I grieve over people that live and not grieve over my daddy who's gone, who had a very big impact into my life. But I know that, I know as far as daddy, I think in my mind, like, my daddy is okay. My daddy is good, and we had time. Even though we used to argue when he was well, we'd argue, we had our own way of loving each other. Mm-hmm. It's a different way of communicating. And we had that strange way of communicating. But we knew at the end of the day, like, we loved each other and we had a close bond, a real close bond. So when he got sick, and I got to spend that time with the quiet daddy, because before he was sick, like, you got two big mouths running their mouths. You got somebody who believes in social media who has a big mouth, and somebody who don't believe in social media that has a bigger mouth. And we just clashed. He don't think I know what I'm talking about, and I don't think he know what he talking about. You know, you got two arrogant, an arrogant son and an arrogant father just talking upon each other. But when he got sick after that stroke, I saw a different spirit. You know, and I saw a more quieter spirit, and I really got connected to him in a different way. And so I think the time that we shared, you know, in that sick process, I think that sort of had me prepared for basically what was going to happen. Because the more we prayed, like me and Daddy, it was very few times that we prayed together through him being well. So we, you know, unless it was at the dinner table, that's when he ready to pray. When we all at the dinner table or for a special holiday. Now he'll pray then, but like just every day before I go to work and things like that, we never prayed together. So I think that was a part of the healing process too, and it had me more of relaxed on what God is doing through me, because a lot of times I didn't even realize till Daddy was sick that God was talking to me through my daddy. The jewels that my daddy was dropping, to him they were in the natural, but God was talking to me in the spiritual. But I didn't catch on until Daddy got sick. So I think that's what basically made me, got me healed. Well, I can't say healed, but got me to a point to where I accept what went on now. So, you know, Veronica, I don't know if that helps you as well, but, you know, one thing that I do know, and I do know this for a fact, in the process, he's not going to answer you right away, of course, and you never know what he's working on and what he's doing. But I can tell you that he will never leave or forsake you, and I can tell you that, what's the other one? He ain't gonna bear anything on you that you cannot handle.
He's not gonna put on anything more. And I mean, I think death is one of the hardest things that God puts on us. Ronnie is very familiar with my story of losing my parents 7 weeks apart, and just being pregnant during that time, and having a nonverbal child during that time, and a husband that left during that time. So she knows that I thought I was going to break. And yet God used that as the foundation for the next 20 years. Because it was sort of like, okay, now both of the parents are gone. It wasn't even like I had one to say, hey, both of them are gone. And I only have my older brother and I have my youngest sister. And even though my mother had a lot of siblings, I had aunts and uncles, they weren't always nearby. And they pretty much... We had one that lived with us that left almost right after this happened. I mean, maybe it was her way of grieving. She couldn't be in the house. But I ended up being in that house by myself with 2 kids. And literally was like, God, if you don't take care of us, I don't know what's going to happen. And to say that's more than 20 years now. And, you know, Russell's in California, the baby that was not even born. Russell's in California on his own. Andrew has come so far that nobody thought he would be there. So it was like death was the foundation for bringing out the strength in me that I didn't even know I had. If you had told me at that time, Judy, you're going to be able to do all these things that I have done, I didn't even have the business then. You realize that? I didn't even own the business yet. The business actually was created after my parents passed. And I was like, well, I got to do something. I got to feed these children. So it was like, you know, death became the foundation for so much life, so much growth. And I don't love that, but that always brings together the other scripture where we always say, God, all things work together. Mm-hmm. All things work together, even those negative, even those heart-wrenching things that we really, really don't understand. Well, God, why would you take somebody's father suddenly in an accident? And why would you do such a thing like that? And yet, whatever that lifetime, that legacy that person left, is the foundation for our growth, for our life. And it's just a hard process. That's why I'm very patient with people who go through it. Because it's a very hard process. I mean, literally, when I was going through mine, the funeral home was like, "What? You back again?" I was like, "Yeah." What, you both of them? We hadn't even got the headstone, and now we had to send the headstone back and write the other name on the headstone. So that process of going through having to, identify the bodies and what are they going to wear, and that, you can't even explain that to somebody. You just can't. And not that we meant to get on such a negative note, but when you have somebody who's going through that, you have to acknowledge that.
That's not. I don't think it's negative though.
Well, I mean, some people don't want to get up on a Monday morning and talk about passing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, they gotta get. We all gotta get prepared one way or
Just
another.
crying this morning.
No, I ain't crying. It's just tears. I ain't crying after
You're not
this
crying,
morning.
no.
Why would I cry after this morning?
Okay.
But I'm just saying. I had a great Monday morning. I tell you, this is called bedroom talk.
Oh yeah, bedroom talk.
Yeah, this is bedroom talk. So singles, you'll get there one day. And but the reality is not seriously though. But look, somebody laughing. But reality is that it's not negative. We all gotta prepare for death one way or another. We all gotta prepare for it. We all gotta be ready.
Be prepared that all the preparation you do still is not going to cover everything. There are going to be things you experience, you feel that you could not prepare for, but it's okay. Please do not allow anyone to tell you that you're crying too much or you're screaming too much or don't let anyone, and hopefully you'll have someone around you that will let you do what you need to do.
You know what? Most of my Mama deleted me from Facebook, right?
His family deleted him.
My mama
What
even
does that tell
deleted
you?
me from, but Mama deleted me from
They'd be
Facebook.
like, get up out of here.
But one thing that I love about my mama is that when I don't know if any of you remember, but when Daddy was going through his sickness and stuff like that, like I would post what he was going through. I'd do videos and things like that, and his niece deleted me from Facebook because she didn't basically like it. Some of my family members got offended, and my brothers got offended because I was putting his sickness up on Facebook, putting what he was going through in his robe, just the doctors working on him, walking and doing the getting the senses back and things like that, and people started getting frustrated at me. But one thing, my mama always had my back about that within the process of his healing. Now, she looked at it within the natural. I looked at it as a spiritual thing because after Daddy had that first stroke, which we never saw him that sick, we didn't think he was going to make it through that first stroke. So when he sat there and we saw him just alert, he couldn't express himself, but he'd get up and he'd walk around. He was trying to escape out of the hospital. He couldn't talk, but he was trying to find his way. So when they would walk him, he'd look around just to basically see how he could escape the hospital, right? So that was his idea. He was just tricking them. Like, yeah, okay, you want to have me to walk, huh? You want me to walk? Okay, I'll walk, yeah. So he walked, and started laughing, and he just look around and just spot things. And so when me and Mama would leave, when me and Mama left, it was like all hell broke loose. Because he'd get up, he'd get his little walker, and he'd get up.
Where
and
is he
just
going
start
to
walking. He'd walk trying to get out.
Right? So I'm saying, how far you going to get?
Yeah, he didn't get too far, so they had to strap him down. When he went to the nursing home, the hospital already had him aware of what he was going to do. So what they did, they put him in a little pen, like a little baby pen, but it was a pen for grown-ups, and they locked him in the little cage thing,
Jesus.
so he couldn't get out. And so until me and Mama came, it was like they let him out when me and Mama came. But when me and Mama had to leave, we had to put him back in that little pen and zip him back up.
That. Oh.
I know I was very discouraged. I was very discouraged and disturbed by it, but I understood after a long period of time because I knew Daddy probably was giving them hell, and he couldn't cuss them out. But that was a part of the process, and I think through those strokes, he started having an understanding of basically what was going on, and he was just more calm about the process that God was putting him through. And I think that God was talking to him about, I think God was basically talking to him and had him quiet to where he couldn't argue with God, or he could argue within the spirit with God, or have that conversation with God within the spirit instead of within the natural. And what I'm trying to get, I wasn't worried about basically what my family, what my cousins or my aunts and uncles were saying about what I was doing with my daddy, because I put them on blast. People get offended, but I'd really put them on blast because I already knew what God was doing, and I already knew that it was an inspiration to somebody on Facebook or wherever that was going through or might go through what they're going through in the future. So they look back at how I may have handled the process of my daddy, or how I may have handled what daddy was going through with those strokes. Daddy had 6 strokes before he passed, 5 or 6.
5, I think.
And you were there with 4 of them.
I wasn't there for the first big one.
Yeah, the first big one you weren't there, but the rest of them, you were there. So, Ronnie, don't let nobody discourage you, please, on what you're going through. People will say something, and Daddy even said this. People will say anything that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah, right.
Just to be
it's so
saying
clueless.
things.
Yeah, it's thoughtless.
Yeah, they just want to feel like they're smart.
Right, or they're saying, yeah, right. Like, oh, let me just say something. No, sometimes just come and sit with the person. Just come and be there and let them talk. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to fix it, because grief is not something you fix. Grief is something you go through.
So what I do with that grieving process when I grieve, if you don't pray for me or you don't pray with me about my daddy, and she will even tell you when spirits came in my daddy room, when them spirits came, it was shut down. Am I lying?
No.
Am I lying? So, I don't know who looking at this. I see so many people joined or whatever. But when Daddy, and she was right there, right beside me through the whole thing, whenever they said anything about my daddy, somebody, who was it? Wee Davis say, I love you, sis.
Aw, thank you.
You know who it is?
No, but that's okay. You can still say thank you.
Well, she know you. But anyway, when we went through that process, what?
I'm just trying to face.
Okay.
But
anyway,
go ahead.
when we were going through that process, the doctors would come in, and what's the people name that'll come in and prepare you for death?
Oh my goodness, the end of life counselor that came.
End of life counselors.
Yes.
And the other one, the counselors. What's their names? The counselors that sit there and talk to you. And
they're talking back and forth to each other.
Okay, but
I'm saying I don't know what Davis. But go ahead.
I'm talking about the girl who the lady. You remember the lady, the blonde-headed lady, and we got at it because she was in there. She was trying to talk to me about he was gonna pass in the next week or whatever. And I say the devil is alive. And Mama got upset because I prayed right there, right in front of her, screaming, hollering, and everything, just asking for God's help through these spirits coming in. Even when my family came in, and I knew my family was in there, because all of them ain't got it right. I'm telling you right now, they ain't got it together. They might have success as far as the outlook of things, but on the inside, a lot of them spirits ain't right. So I knew that when they come in, there's gonna be some loud gospel up in there, and I'm leaving my daddy. I'm leaving my daddy with some gospel, Kirk Franklin, John P. Key, whatever.
The music playing all the time.
And it's gonna blast. It's gonna be on blast when I'm outside of that room, because everybody ain't gonna come, and I ain't no telling where my daddy is with God at that time, as I'm covering him in prayer. So I'm like, listen, you not coming in here with them evil spirits. You're not coming in here with any negativity to rub my daddy off the wrong way to where he ain't able to cuss you out and tell you to get out of his face. But I will cuss you out in the spirit. I ain't going to cuss you out in the natural. I'm going to curse you out in the spirit. So I'm going to turn on gospel and get out of this room and let Daddy and God talk it out. And let Daddy and God talk. So that's why I'm okay to this day. We could talk about, we could have a whole conversation for hours and hours about Daddy. And there are times that I just want to cry because, just like Daddy used to say to me, Daddy would be like, son, whenever you get in trouble or something, who do you run to, son? Who do you run to? And I'd be like, I ain't got nobody to run to but God now, because Daddy gone within the natural. So the things that I used to run to with Daddy, even though he didn't always give me a good answer, but Daddy was a great listener. And I only have two people that I could really say outside of Daddy that's great listeners until they get to the next level of things, of course. And that's Tim Pride and Rayshawn Harrell, which we call them Artel, the greatest listeners that I could just sit there and I could just vent to, that I could really vent to, and they'll just sit there and they'll just listen until Artel might get around people, and then next thing you know, he get on that level where he just start going in or whatever. But those are people that I could really talk to and vent to outside of Daddy, because Daddy has so much of an understanding of how I am and who I am. So, that's all I can give you as far as encouragement. I don't know who that helps about me talking about a bunch of nothing, but I know good and well, it helps somebody.
Okay.
So we're going to jump on another subject this morning. This is the lover and the giver, of course, and we appreciate the love. We appreciate the support that, everybody, what you doing?
I'm trying to...
We freestyle this now. We don't come on and, tell people what we, or have anything that we basically plan to talk about. We just be like, we just gonna get on here and do the love and the giver. We freestyle it, just come on and just want to talk to the people. So it's not scripted. Of course,
sometimes we have one basic subject, but sometimes we don't.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on what we talk about. Like if somebody come on and say something out of the craziness, or about our marriage, or somebody says something about me and I feel a certain way about it. Because a lot of y'all, I know Marquise knows who joined in, but I'm a very sensitive guy. And, I'm very sensitive. And if you attack something that I love and something that I'm passionate about, I'm going to attack you in another way or another form. I'm going to call you out. So, as far as single, saved, and serious goes, when people say certain things about what I'm doing, or I'm a hypocrite as far as single, saved, and serious, obviously.
How could you be a hypocrite? Okay, explain that one to me. What makes you a hypocrite?
Well, because
you got married?
Yeah, because I got married. I'm a hypocrite. So, but
talk that one out to me, because I'm like, what?
Well, some people will use the excuse not to support you. Some people don't want to support you for their own reasons, right?
Obviously, they haven't read the mission or the goals.
No, they
didn't read anything.
But some of them have. been following us, but still battle with supporting us because of their own issues. Maybe they have something against me. Maybe they're going through something. You remember yesterday you were saying that some people go through things within their marriage, and it makes it like when they see what we're doing and the mission that we're going about doing, it gets them upset.
Upset. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, in a way, that's a good thing, I guess, because we need, sometimes people get very complacent in their relationships, and sometimes we need to have some things shook up. But, to call us a hypocrite because we got married is to act as if we're abandoning single people. We're not. We're not abandoning single people. If anything, we bring our experiences together of what we call it dating while Christian, what it means to be single parents, and then that's what we're doing right now, is trying to blend a family. And, we're blending children ages 7 to 24.
Yeah.
So literally, this is important conversation that people need, because you don't want to go into a relationship and not understand there are some challenges, there's some ordeals you might go through, but when you put God as the foundation of the center, and you keep that line of communication open, and this is what our singles need to see and hear. They need to see this, because it is not just the day that you got married. It is not just the courting process and then the honeymoon. People are saying we're newlyweds, and I'm like, okay, I guess so.
But we're really not newlyweds. You had the experience of being married 2 times, and I had the experience of being married once. So we really know how to go through on these things, especially getting to know each other for the year and a half that we've known each other. First day I've met her outside of, and I've beforehand I've never really met Judy outside of social media. I've only talked to her. We've never had a ongoing conversation before my birthday. It was just invites, and it was just you coming on out, like some of y'all I inbox, come on out, enjoy yourself. And she was like, I'll try to make it to one of your events or whatever. And she came out my birthday. When I first came, when she pulled up at the park on my birthday, and I had a couple of sips on my birthday, and she came up, and she was like, well, I'm here. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm glad to see you. You play that role? Okay, I'm glad to see you. Yeah, so we just started talking, and I snuck away, and I got my 2 cousins.
Ran off.
I ran off a little bit. I snuck off.
I'm like, yeah, okay, you snuck.
I snuck off a little bit.
I'll be right back.
And I said, yeah, I'll be right back. So I got my 2 cousins. I said, y'all get up and y'all find out who this woman is, because this woman came up and just started talking to me, and I don't even know who this woman is.
Very funny.
And so they played it off. I said, don't put me on blast. Do not let her know I don't know who she is. And they said, we got you, cuz. We got you. So, my cousins real country. They in Florence, South Carolina. Because they're from Ohio. Yeah. Sharon and, So we went up there, Sharon and Denise. So we went up there, and they went up there, and they just started talking.
Bringing back other people.
They started talking, and so they went down, and they sat there. And next thing you know, they never left each other. And what was that, a 4-hour
event?
Yes,
they were fantastic people. We just talked and shared and because a lot of the other people at your event, some of the other ladies, they didn't even want to say hello.
Yeah, because,
their faces buried in their phones. They were like this. They look up and they go back. I was like, oh, that's not friendly. But Sharon and Denise, they brought me over here, get this, get that, and they sat with me the whole time. I mean, I didn't know anybody there. I literally, and I don't know, Ronnie, if you remember, I don't know if I wanted to go. I don't know who it was that said, you better go ahead and go.
You said Jennifer.
It might have been Jennifer, because I was like, I don't know anybody. I just talked to this dude on social media, and I won't know anybody else other than him, and I really don't know him. So they were like, get up, get dressed, and that was the year that I had said, that January, that I would do things intentionally to get myself out of the house. I worked at home. I had to get out of the house. So because it was a park, it was family, it was daytime, I felt safe. And I said, let me go ahead. I mean, what in the world can happen at a picnic?
Yeah, so
You know?
she went, and did you enjoy yourself? Because, I was worse than I was now as far as venting, as far as calling people out and things like that. But you took yourself out of the way because somebody made a comment. You're not going to win people over the way that you're going. And obviously she hadn't been following me because I was worse before she met me.
He was.
Before she originally came up and just started talking and introducing ourselves to each other. I was bad off because that was when the heartbreak occurred. That was when I went through a bad marriage, a horrible marriage, and a horrible relationship afterwards when the woman left me for dead. So I was bitter. That was the beginning of Single, Saved, and Serious, the very beginning. I think it was like 4 or 5 months in of Single, Saved, and Serious. So I was just drinking, especially on the weekends. I would really drink. I was drunk. I was going through everything. I was telling people off, cursing people out.
He was a hot mess when I met him.
Yeah, all of that. I was going through that.
I was like, good God Almighty.
But
you know what I always tell people? What I could see was, I could see the emotion, and I could see the physical, the natural, people reacting in the natural to something that happened to him. But underneath that, he had a spiritual side. He had a very deep spiritual side. And I also saw the loyalty to family. And I saw those things underneath all of this rage. And I figured, sooner or later, that rage is going to calm down. And all I have to do is be patient. All I have to do is just sit there and be patient while he rages. Because again, what do we talk about with grief? You've got to let people respond to what has happened to them the way they want to respond. And his response was, a lot of drinking that I wasn't happy about, and I was like, okay, you say that you're saved, but you're out here just as angry and in the natural as you can be. But that was his response to what he had been through. And, I just let him do that. I just let him do that because I figured, what's going to win out? Is the drinking and the natural response going to win out? Or is that bedrock of spirituality that I saw in you, is that going to win out? The family man, the loyal person, is that going to win out? And I prayed and I believed God that part was going to win out over you descending even deeper into the anger and the bitterness. But it wasn't easy. You ain't no easy person, okay?
Yeah.
It was months. It was months.
Yeah. We says you humbled me.
You know what? She humbled you. You know what? Okay. I listened well. A lot of times, and I'm going to say this to the men. Women, we talk, 5 times more words than men do. So a lot of times when men speak, who's really listening? It's like, I grew up with a mom and dad, and my dad would say, good morning. My mother would say, good morning, how you feeling? Let me see, what you got on? Blah, blah, blah. So did I remember what my dad said, or did I remember what my mom said? And what I learned to do was to pay attention, which was, Dad would say something and get straight to the point. Mom would talk about 5, 10 different things at the same time. But sometimes we have to listen to men. We have to let them get to what we call a safe place to express themselves. And it may not be a lot of words, but just give them that space to say, this is how I feel. And then don't belittle what they say. A lot of times I see women dismiss what a man says. Mm-hmm. Oh, please, no, don't do that. Let the man speak. Let him feel comfortable. So I don't know if I humbled him, but I gave him the safety.
The time to vent.
To say what he needed to say. And to say it over. And there were some times where I was like, oh my goodness. What did I used to call them? The 3 ghosts. I was like, there's 3 people that are not here, that are here, and I'm going to hear about them again. But he needed to go through that process. And that's what we have to give people. when you care about people, you don't rush them. A lot of times now in relationships, we want ready-made people, microwave relationships. We want them to be ready for us. And yet at the same time, sometimes we are not even together. We're not together. We may think we are. But we need to be able to give space for each person to go through what they're going through, see how they react, and it's okay. There is nobody perfect on this planet. And I think what we've been doing is we want perfect men. The men, of course, want perfect women, but I'm speaking to the lady. He's got the perfect job. He's got the house already. He got the good car. His closets are full of all the clothes that we want to see him wear. I mean, it gets crazy. Let people be and let them evolve. Let them grow. Let them mature. And that's what I saw in him. I thought, and I really prayed about it, I said, God, I believe there's a good man underneath all of this rage. I saw how he was with his family that very first day. I saw how he was with his children very first day. And I'm not ashamed to say it, I was extraordinarily attracted to him the very first day because I saw those things. Then I saw this stuff on top, these things happen to me and da-da-da. And I was like, okay, let's talk these things out, talk them out. And so over time, those became less and less and less. And he could trust me. How many men out here want to be able to trust somebody with their emotions, with their feelings, without getting beat down? Or bashed. How many?
But you know what? The thing about it is
crying?
you're making me cry right now. I tell you, I just want to cry. But the thing about it is she is right about one thing. And that's when a man comes across you just ready to vent, let him vent, let him bring out that hurt, let him be a man. A lot of women, from what I see, like through my past, I can speak for my past, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of women describe me on how a man should be. I'm supposed to be how another man is supposed to be, that I ain't even met, that I have no idea of what basically they're talking about. But I know if they're talking about the man that society has pictured to be a man, that not show any emotion, to act like they really don't care, that's not a description of a man.
Well, you know what? They'll say that, and then they'll say, well, he's emotionally unavailable. He's detached from his emotions. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't have this man who never, ever talks about his emotions, never talks about anything, because that's a sign of weakness. And then you want to bring your emotions to him, and then he doesn't know how to relate to you. You can't have it both ways. So and I personally believe we got to stop making men out that they don't have any emotions. So of course they do. Of course they do. They were given by God just like ours were given. We may express things differently. We may voice things differently, but he does have emotions. And the other thing I wanted to say is I saw this comedian one time, and he was a pastor, and he said, if you ask 100 women to describe the man that they want for their mate, they'll describe another woman. A man is not a woman. He is going to do things differently. And because we've had so many, disjointed families, and we've gotten to the point where we only see single moms raising these boys, and they don't see how a man reacts. I had to get very comfortable when men were around my sons, that they interact differently. If my son fell down, the man isn't instantly over there, oh, baby, are you okay? Mm-hmm. That's not a manly thing to do. And so, and I'm not trying to do stereotypes here, because there's a whole broad spectrum. I had to, in turn, because my children came with some difficulties and challenges, I had to curtail some of that mama wants to just make everything good and perfect, because they wouldn't grow. I'm doing that now with my third son, where I'm teaching him to be independent. We cannot do everything for him. We cannot put his clothes on and tie his shoes and this and that. And
talking about Buck,
I'm talking about, my third son, Buck. Yeah. He's 7 years old. And everybody does everything for him because he takes a while to do it. Or he looks like he's struggling to do it, and he doesn't have a lot of patience. But every time he comes to me and says, can you do this for me? I said, well, let's see if we can do it together, and you go ahead and try. He'll try. Oh, wait, whoa. We're not yet done yet. Go ahead, try again. You can do it. And then I make a big deal about when he does it because his confidence will raise every single time. We've kind of lost the ability to build confidence in men and build confidence in young children, boys, so that they know that they can grow up capable. So we've got to get back to that. And even in our relationships, build the confidence in a man. And there's scriptural backing for this. I believe it's in 1 Peter. I'll look up the scripture, but it's in 1 Peter when he talks about a wife is to literally be in awe of her husband, not fearful awe. But you ought to have a deep, profound, like, this man is the bomb. Do you hear me? He's the absolute bomb. If you're not feeling that about the person that you're dating and thinking of marrying, you're with the wrong person. You literally ought to have such high regard, and that's the word that they use, high regard for the husband that you have. And I do. I don't tell him, I'll come up against some cousins. I already did, right, when we were dating. They said something, even slightly disparaging.
Oh, my cousins?
Yes.
Well, my cousins will say something ignorant.
I don't care.
They'll
talking about
always
my
come
man.
off and say
Excuse
something
me?
ignorant.
Back
So
up.
I understand why my cousins really don't support me. And this is not the ones that are influenced. This is not all of the ones that I just met. Not all of them. But I'm talking about the ones that I've known all of my life. My first cousins, my daddies, and my mama's nieces and nephews that, I'm always, or that are in this area. Yeah, and you're probably talking about mom's side of the family. But
I don't care who it was, to
no,
be
I'm
honest
just
with
saying,
you. You know how I felt.
but
I was like, yo, back up.
Anyway, they'll say something.
Ronnie knows I'm the most protective mama bear person on the planet. If it's me and mine, I'm like, look here.
But
don't even bring the negativity to the table.
Not only that, but the thing about it is the people that really got to get to know you have a way of loving you and have an understanding of you because
they had to figure out why I was there.
Yeah, they had to figure it out. I think
what did she see in this
where did
man?
she come from?
Oh yeah, right. She ain't gonna stay. What
she
did
ain't
Justin
gonna stay
say?
long.
Justin was like, "I'll be here
when
while
she's
she gone."
Yeah.
And I was like,
so basically, I'll still be your cousin while she's not here, and it popped out of nowhere. We got married. I put it on Facebook Live.
You know what?
But anyway, so I understand, and I sort of understand. Nobody wants you to be successful, people. That's the reality of it. We all think we can click on to our cousins and our family and things like that just because they're blood. But in reality, no one wants you to be successful be
well,
in their mind.
In their mind too, they want you to do it the way they did it.
Yeah, or they want you to be the way that they are.
Mm-hmm. Like, how in the world you as a janitor are suddenly a CEO of a company?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly how America works, okay? So, literally, people want you to do it their way because it looks like, well, wait a minute, he's doing something I wish I could do, but I went to school and I got this little desk job and I'm plodding away, and he's got somebody who helps him believe in their dreams. And anybody who knows me, I am definitely that person that tells you, tell me your dreams. Let's see how we can make this happen. Anybody who knows me, just ask. I'm like, talk to me about your dream. Don't tell me. I never ask the question, so what do you do? I always ask the question, what do you want to do?
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to talk about now that you say that. Because I remember when I was single, the first thing that came out of their mouth is, the first thing that comes out of the woman's mouth is, what do you do for a living?
What do you do for a living? I never ask that question. My question is always, what do you want to do? What do you really want to do?
What are your goals within the future from where you are now?
Always.
What are your intentions?
What are your dreams?
On having not only that, but what are your intentions on talking to me? What do you see out of me or something like that? But it was a turnoff just asking me what I did for a living. And a lot of times I would tell you what I did for a living just to basically see how you would react to it. I love telling people I was a janitor. I have no shame in telling a woman that I'm a janitor because I want to feel the reaction. If you have a reaction of, okay, well, you're a janitor, so I can't talk to you because I work in this type of thing, or whatever you have within your mind, I'd like to see the reaction that I get out of you. And I think that you know, a lot of times people get messed up because you look at the person's outer appearance instead of the inner appearance.
The inner person.
You can lose a job, and that's the reality. You can lose a job
in a minute.
You could be the ugliest person in the world. The ugliest person in the world. Inside or out, however you may be it, but next year you can be in a different place. You know, wherever you got it. If you don't have no teeth, get dentures. No, because I know somebody personally who years ago had no teeth. And the same person that was with that person now, was with that person back then with no teeth, is with that person now with teeth. Plants or dentures or however. And this person is very successful, still living out his dreams. Still living out his dreams.
It's so important.
But that person stuck with him all through, regardless of how that person is shaped up, especially a job. I could care less about a job. And she knows that. I told her that from the beginning. I don't care nothing. And yeah, I need a job and all of that stuff. But that ain't my passion. That's not my dream. I remember crying. I don't know if you remember when I was at the gym and I cried that I didn't want to work at another job.
I do remember that.
I said I cried and Judy prayed over it. But now I got back to the point to where I got a job, even saying that, but I got a job, but God is working on me within his own little way. He's doing something through me. I don't know what it is. I still don't know what's going on, and sometimes I get frustrated about the process. But the thing is that I know me. I know the talents and the gifts that I have. But with somebody who already knows like how I feel and me just being open to who I am and how I am, and she's just sitting there and she's accepting the person that I am, and you really can't, people like, what's going on with this relationship? I couldn't find nobody that I could just be real with that really can understand, or they might understand, but they're so wrapped up into society that they don't want to understand. They want other people to think for them about how to handle a person like me instead of them thinking for themselves. And I think that's where they got wrapped up in. They didn't see a CEO or entrepreneur like she did. She saw that. I said, Judy, am I an entrepreneur even though I ain't making no money? I mean, because I see a lot of people making moves in entrepreneurship. I don't know whether they're making money or not, but they're making major moves. And she had her own description of what an entrepreneur is, and it made me feel so good the way that she explained it. And I couldn't really find a woman that really was that patient, or really, and I could say I could find them, but they didn't find me. They didn't find me. They didn't connect to me. You know what I'm saying? They really didn't want to take the time. They wasn't patient enough to connect to the person that I was. And she had an understanding. And I wasn't dumb enough. That the reality is, and I know I'm going on and on, but I ain't dumb. I'm not dumb to not be there for somebody who's there for me like she was. That would be the stupidest thing in the world, and I see a lot of men.
He say that all the time. He said, I'm not fool enough. What did you used to say? I'm not fool enough to let somebody like you go.
Yeah, because if somebody could treat you through dating, imagine how they treat you through marriage. And some women get tired, and they get discouraged, and they just get tired. So when it gets to that boiling point of getting tired, they'll run or they'll let go because they realize that it ain't worth it. You know.
Yeah, but
So
you know what? It has to do with priorities. It really does. Because, you know, one of the reasons we work together is even though everybody likes nice things, I'd rather have a business than granite countertops. I mean, Jennifer always laughs at me. She said, "You're on granite countertops." I'm not working a job for some granite countertops. I'm not working a job for a car. If I'm going to be working a job, it should be for a legacy for my children, an inheritance for my children. And what better inheritance is a business? Is a family business, or at least to say, this is what we built. You have the choice on whether you want to follow it or not. You know, working just to say that you were working and you go on that one little vacation a year and you drive this car, and I'm really not understanding, and that's why we got along. I really didn't understand why that could satisfy you. A car, a building, you know. Okay, you got this beautiful, beautiful home. And I've been in some gorgeous homes. But sometimes, no, I'm going to go there. I lived in South Park for 7 years before we moved here. Everybody on that road made six figures. There were more millionaires per capita in that zip code than probably any place else in 28211 zip code in Charlotte. Huge, huge, huge. Okay? I did not get to know not one single person. So then I went and joined a community association. I figured, well, you know, be a part of the community. The treasurer lived across the street from me. Do you think he ever invited me into his house? Occasionally at the meetings he would say, "Oh, Judy, you got to come on by." Well, when exactly would you like me to come on by? When exactly would I be welcome? The point of the matter is that the running after money is not ever going to satisfy you. But the running after your dream, running after a goal, whether sometimes you achieve it or not. I've had some goals I've achieved. There's been other goals I haven't. But just the exercise of using my brain to create something that was never there before. There's never been something like Single, Saved, and Serious. There still isn't anything like Single, Saved, and Serious, and the things that God has put into your mind to do. And what we sometimes even brainstorm.
you see that? No.
That's something that you created that no one else has done. You can't buy it. You know what I'm saying? You can't buy the idea of it. I like to see things come out of someone's imagination and then it's real. That thing excites me. Ronnie, you know, I get excited about taking something that you had a thought about and then making it happen. I love that. Don't tell me I'm working. I work my butt off for a business. But for me to work my butt off so that I can have a week off to go somewhere, that's not enough for me. For me to work my butt off for my tax return, that's not enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what do you leave to your children? Oh, you know, work 35 years. You know, and get, what are you going to get? They don't even give out gold watches anymore. You know what I'm saying? Half the time they downsize or they merge and they get rid of you because you're old and they're going to replace you with 50 other people who are 20. So my thing is, you can't slave away in corporate America. I don't mind using corporate America because they pay you well. But the point of the matter is,
they pay you what they want to pay you.
They pay you what they want to pay you. Turn around and use that money and create something that you have never, that no one has ever seen before. And no one can take away from you. No one can take that from you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't reach all the pinnacle of success. I ran a home business, Ronnie knows, for 10 years. And in the end, I had to give it up. I had some vision issues. I had to give them up. But no one can take away that I did that for 10 years. The stuff that I created, the friends that I made, the connections that I made. Do you think I know any of my corporate America friends? Do you think they even come around to say hi? I remember in corporate America when we merged and they told those people, we don't want y'all conversing after work. Those people shut down like they didn't even know who each other were. It was like, oh, well, I can't talk to you. I might lose my job. The devil is a liar. You are not going to tell me who I can and cannot speak to after hours. Are you out of your cotton picking mind? That's slavery. Okay, that's downright slavery. And I'm not against working now.
You know what?
I am not against working. But my mother was in corporate America. And I'm going to tell this story. My mother was in corporate America. My mother was a bomb.com when it came to mines. Okay, everybody talks about, Judy, you're so smart, you're so this. My mother could run rings around me. Okay, run rings around me. And my mother put together 2 departments for a big banking firm in New York. She was in the financial district, corporate America. They never gave her the title. They never gave her the money that was equal to what she did. And she would bring these ideas, and they were like, okay, implement them. When my mother got sick, they replaced her with about 10 people. They created a department of people to do what my mother did, and still had the nerve to call her up. Frances, can you tell us how to do this? Frances, can you help us write this book of policy and procedure? Frances, can you... None of them even came to see her. And after she passed away, I had one of her little friends go, you know, I haven't heard from Frances in so long. How's she doing? She's dead. You never came to see her. You never came to see her. And that was my wake-up call about corporate America, about working for other people. And I swore I would not do what my parents did. Mm-hmm. I swore it. My mother had dreams she never realized. My mother could have been a real estate mogul. She did not realize those dreams. Right before she passed, she was trying to start an import-export business with me, going back to the Caribbean, back and forth. My mother's brain was amazing, and she didn't do 90% of it because she worked for somebody else who didn't even pay her properly and didn't even give her the title. You don't have to go through that more than once to say, okay, guess what? That ain't happening to me. And so I use corporate America, but I do not work for corporate America. I work for me. I work for Judy. And now I got a husband, I work for him. I bring what I know and put it into what he's doing.
That made me feel good. Now, that made some of them probably feel bad. What the hell is she talking about? You work for me? But that's great to sit there and see how that you don't know how that just made me feel about a wife that sits here and a woman who sits here and supports me, whether I do the craziest things, whether I say the stupidest things. I wanted to post something yesterday. And if she says no, she still says no. I ain't gonna post it, but I wanted to post something about how to make money, about another way of being an entrepreneur and making money. He just come up with some of the
craziest things. He's being sarcastic, but still, I was like, that's so inappropriate.
No, but I'm just saying, yeah. She was like, she was laughing, but she was like, don't put that up there. But it's a good way for people to make money. Exactly. It's a great way. No, I'm serious. Can I say what it is?
Please forgive what he's about to say.
I don't think that many people are listening.
God, somebody listening. I see all the little laughs.
People are calling me. People call me in order to pee for them, in order to pass drug tests.
Jesus.
So I was about to post, basically, you know, this is entrepreneurship right here. Great opportunity. So what I was about to do is I was about to post yesterday, if you want me to pee for you, it'll be $5. So everybody line up
himself
at the door.
This is priceless, okay? If your pee is worth that much, we got to charge
but
a little bit more.
Everybody's smoking weed, you know. Everybody's smoking, and they need to pass these drugs.
So you have premium pee. You need to pay for that premium pee.
Okay, y'all need to pay, okay, so what you want to do, $20 an hour?
Oh, come on now.
20. Okay.
$20.
My wife
and
says
a premium
20.
if you pass it. Okay,
yeah,
and you get the job. We get a little kickback.
Yeah. So we'll go. Okay. David said 20. What you say?
See, I'm telling you, $20.
$20. If you want me to pee for you.
This ain't no regular.
Yeah, if you want me to pee for you, then $20, and I'm about to post it too.
Jesus.
So. That's entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You know, so God does give me these ideas, God, and that's a blessing. Yesterday when I was walking to that store, the kids was like, I'm bored. Bunny was like, I'm bored.
Yes,
I'm bored. I'm so bored. I'm bored. Can we go somewhere? I'm like, no, I don't have the money. I gotta pay this bill. I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm bored. Can we go somewhere? I say, okay, I got an idea. Years ago in the 80s, I don't know if y'all remember, but when we was in Middle Plantation off Central Avenue, my cousin Key and his friends, Caucasian friends, used to go in front of the yard and sell lemonade for 25 cents. So I wasn't thinking about the difference within money today versus today and yesterday. Like, years ago, how 25 cents was $1 or $2
See
or
why he
whatever.
needs me? Because he be underselling everything.
Yeah, so
25 cents for some doggone lemonade.
Yeah.
It's $1 nowadays. Huh? 8 ounces, you get $1.
okay, so the next thing you know, we went to
Maybe 50 cents.
but we went to the store and I was like, we get some lemonade, we get some sugar, we get some ice. So I spent like $16. So when we came, I went into the yard. I went to the yard. Well, you weren't near yet.
I know. They needed me. Because first of all, Ronnie, do I not make the best doggone lemonade? In Maryland, they used to call it Aunt Judy's Crack. Okay, they used to call it Aunt Judy's Crack lemonade. I make the best doggone homemade lemonade. Would have saved y'all some money on them expenses, and y'all would have made more money because I would have been like 75
you knew what
cents.
we was doing, and you ain't come around because you was cleaning.
Because I was cleaning and trying to put the house together and
So-
moving in carpets and rugs and all sorts of stuff
So
like that.
we went to the store
Yeah, they
and we
overspent.
put up the sign or whatever. And the next thing you know, we set everything up, and she started selling lemonade. Now we did wait.
was cool.
We didn't make. She made about $5 or $6. But the thing about it is, she got excited at that time about the idea, and she was learning. She's learning how to sell herself now. Buck, that's a whole nother situation.
He need to
that
do
we trying
comedy
to
on the
work
side.
on.
He need to just to make people stay around. He does some comedy on the side, and then she can sell the lemonade. That girl is a born businesswoman. I cannot wait. Did you hear about that? She made the slime for her. This little girl made slime, and she was selling it. And I always talk about it. I said, let me see what your expenses are, what your pricing is, and you make sure you're making a profit. So another little girl came to the school, and she said, oh, I'm going to make slime too, because all it is baking soda and glue and some other kind of stuff. So I said, I said, you diversify. So we came up with all these names. She has crunchy slime. She has sparkle slime. So she started to have a line of products, and I was sitting there talking to her about the marketing and everything, and I said, these are things they're going to teach you in college and charge you a whole lot of money for. I said, basically, I'm going to teach you the same things. So this girl was in there, and she had her list. She had a list of items and her price list, and she sold so much slime. She came in a car shaking a little baggie full of money. I was like, all right now, that's going to be your future entrepreneur. I'm telling you. It's just what she has to learn about is keeping those expenses low, pricing it according to the market, what the market will bear, and making sure she get a profit. I'm teaching her that nonsense. She's going to make some money. All summer long.
Yeah, so that was an
I
excellent.
thought that was an excellent idea.
Yeah,
Thank you, sweetie.
excellent idea that I came across. So
You know.
God keeps blessing me with, different ideas. And me, I'm a go-getter. Judy's a brainstormer.
I'm a brainstormer,
But I'm a
researcher.
go-getter, yeah,
I'm the
brainstormer,
admin.
research.
I like to
And
administrate.
I'm a go-getter.
And he likes,
I likes to go get it as soon as
it's like
I
as
see
soon as he
the
has an
idea.
idea, boom.
I ain't gonna think about it. I'm gonna just go get it, So I'm a thinker. I am a thinker.
Yes.
But, I just think real fast and
He's the
just go
idea
get
man.
it.
He's definitely the idea man. And I tell everybody, I said, that's why we work so well together. He's an idea man. He comes up with the ideas. I'm the person who strategizes to see how we can make this long term. How do we make our money back? Where can we put this? I see all the nuts and bolts to the idea. And so usually we work together pretty well,
Yeah.
So
that's-
sometimes he does try to go up fast, and I'll be like, slow your roll down.
Yeah, when I get hyped for it.
When he get hype, he'd be like, we can do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we can't.
Yeah.
We'll
So-
get to it.
That's why you see us together. But I appreciate y'all
No, we got to get up
tuning in.
and get some breakfast.
We really don't sometimes have any idea of what we're going to talk about. We just go in because we both love to talk to people, and we both love to connect to people, those who really didn't get to know us or whatever. One thing about me is I'm deeper than social media. So, I want to get to know you on a personal level,
Yes.
instead of just conversing on you or talking to you through social media.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times social media will throw you off of the person
Who
that
they
you
really
are.
are.
Yeah, who
And then
you really are.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
We like to talk about God because I like to talk about God in practical ways, not, just, Bible thumping and what do you say?
Sounds like I need a nap. No, it's an opportunity. I just got text a opportunity, and I was going to talk to my wife about the opportunity. One of my bosses, my supervisors, called me just now or text me. I just saw it on the screen about he needs somebody to work ASAP in Fort Mill. So I was like, do I need to just get up and go to work a quick 12 hours, 8 hours, and then come home at night? Because we are at Gridtown. I don't want to come over here no 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm kind of worried about my wife. I'm worried about y'all too. I'm worried about everybody. Drew quiet and in his room. And
yeah, we're going to bust him up out of there too. But we like to talk about God in practical terms. How to relate spiritual things to everyday life. And that's important because a lot of people only get Christ, only get church when they go to church. You know what I'm saying? But, from my background, I saw a lot of God implemented in the daily life every day. So we like to be able to relate God into our lives. And I think that's what Jesus Christ really, really wanted us to be. We're not just supposed to be these Bible thumper, show up at the building, have a good time, go home, and then forget about God the rest of the time. No. It should be in your life. So you'll hear us talk about God and bring God into the picture.
No, I love talking about God. I love talking about Jesus. I ran into Chris yesterday, Big Trill. A lot of y'all don't know the rapper Big Trill, but Big Trill grew up with me in Hidden Valley. And it was years ago. His name Chris Lilly, but years ago, he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I remember you used to stay right around the corner from my grandma, in the valley or whatever." And then we talked from there, and I found out he was rapping, high energy, conscious rapper. He used to perform. People from the valley got real excited because he was under Ninth Wonder. Him and Ninth Wonder were real tight. Ninth Wonder produced Jay-Z, Beyonce, and all the big cats, and he had a group called Little Brother. They're out of Raleigh in Winston-Salem. Ninth Wonder is from Winston-Salem. He went to Central with Chris Lilly. So everybody from the valley thought he was just going to blow up, and they just went crazy and got excited over him. So, we were rapping too back then. So that was an avenue for us to get on through Chris. He ain't know that though through me. We ain't connect like that, but he ain't know like one of us was gonna carry each other back in those days. So, we got familiar through Facebook. We lost contact, whatever, and reconnected through Facebook. And he's like this more of Black Jesus, and corporate America Jesus. What is it? The
Egyptians? Is he into the Egyptian?
No.
Oh,
What's the other one? The white European Jesus and the European Jesus and all of that. So we go at it back and forth through social media, through Facebook. We go at it back and forth because I really don't care. Like me personally, I really don't care what color he is. To be honest with you, even if he was Hispanic, who I saw within Jesus and who I know spiritually within Jesus and who I've heard about within Jesus through whatever they read or through the experiences. I love this man and I can't wait to see this man. Like some of y'all can't wait to meet Jay-Z or Dr. Dre. I want to meet this man they call Jesus. I'm excited. And so, his connection with God within the spirit that we call upon every day, regardless. And you can't go through the Father without the Son. And I can understand that. I can understand that in the natural. Because when I go to these clubs and I try to talk to these business owners, these club owners,
Yeah.
I gotta go through the security guard before I even get in the club. Before I can talk to a manager at a restaurant, I gotta talk to the waiter or waitress. Before I can go in a store, before I can go in a store, before I can go anywhere to get to somebody that I need to talk to, before I can talk to a lawyer, before I talk to a lawyer, people, I got to talk to the paralegal, I got to talk to the assistant. So why can't I talk to Jesus?
You know,
Jesus. Am I connected? I'm feeling I ain't getting no likes, I ain't getting no loves, I ain't getting no highs or nothing, when I'm talking about this and things like that. But I get excited about that. There's some excitement when you could just sit there and I call on this man every day.
Amen.
Every day I call on this man, Jesus. And I get it all the time. Whether it's a yes or whether it's a no. You get it. Now, you might not accept that no, and I'll be the first one to admit, I do not accept a lot of his no's. I don't. I go my own way about it. But just to know that you're excited about this man that you haven't seen, just to be so excited, just to call upon Jesus. And that's why I'm so at ease all the time. I don't know how you feel when you call on Allah, but I know that most of you, when I talk to you, it's like you scare me. Because when I went and that ain't for every Muslim, but I know when I was trying to get on through North Star, and I saw the Million Man March was coming, right? And I saw the Million Man March was coming, and I was like, yeah, so I was excited. We get to perform at the Million Man March. So I saw some Muslims that was talking and promoting the Million Man March. And I was like, yeah, so they was like, okay, I see where you're coming. And, they tried to get me to join, right? So I was like, okay, good. I'll come to your mosque, right? Come to your mosque. So I went to the mosque. I saw Jason that day, Jason Rachel. And I went to the mosque. And the first thing that came out of that dude's mouth after he started talking, he started preaching some knowledge. And he said, that makes me want to kill a cracker. Boy, I tried to run out of there so bad. I thought I had my car. But then I was like, dog, I just got to play it off like I really feel this thing until I get home and never come back again. But when I look at the love of Jesus, like when I sit there and I look at it and I just think about the love of Jesus, I just think about it. That loves me more than I love myself. People always say, love yourself first, but they don't never say you got somebody who loves you more than you love yourself.
That's right.
Than you can ever love yourself, that you haven't even seen yet, but you just feel and you hear that excitement behind it. That participation of being able to meet this celebrity, not Jay-Z. Jay-Z couldn't do it. I met Jay-Z years ago, and his security guard wanted to fight me because he had millions of dollars worth of jewelry on him, so he was very arrogant about himself. He didn't see this little kid that was very excited running up to him, trying to meet him and just trying to talk to him and converse with him and just happy to be around him. He saw that was Hard Knock Life tour. He just saw basically a little kid 21-year-old just coming up like, okay, I'm trying to snatch his jewelry with all types of people around there. But I was excited to see Jay-Z, and he shut me down. Big Daddy Kane, even though I met him again years ago. He was Jay-Z back in those days, and he shut me down. Well, he didn't shut me down. He was like, let me get on stage first. And then next thing you know, he pushed. He was very proper, so I can't say that. But I can say that about Jay-Z. I can say that about the CEO who y'all respect. And I met him years ago when he came out with the Hard Knock Life tour. Now, he's mature now because he's almost 50 years old. But back then, I've met him. A lot of these celebrities that y'all talk about that I've met. I remember Chuck D and Professor Griff when I was like 10 years old wanting me to join the FOIs, the Fruit of Islam. So I met all of them. But just to know that I'm so excited about somebody that I talk to and I communicate on an everyday basis and I pray to on an everyday basis, but I haven't met personally yet, but I will meet soon personally, that's excitement. At his time, personally, that's excitement. God said, I will not let, who is that he talked to in the Bible about not letting him see, that they wanted to see him, but he said, you can't see me because if I see you, basically the world the world will be gone. It's something within the Bible.
You're talking about Old Testament where they didn't.
It was the Old Testament.
They couldn't see God or they would die.
They would die.
The Old Testament. But that was the beauty of Jesus because they could see him. And then 3 of them got to see him even illuminated with the Spirit and they did not die. They got to sit with Jesus. They got to eat with Jesus. They got to see the Son of God and not die. And that was a big thing because in the old days, even Moses, when he supposedly looked at God face to face, they said his face would glow so much he had to put a veil over it, So we have the ability to approach God through Jesus Christ. He's our advocate. He's always at the right hand of the Father interceding for us. We get the chance to approach the throne of grace through Jesus. And then we get to have the Holy Spirit as a comforter that stays with us, that helps us along the way. These things are deep. And, even though they're spiritual concepts, there are ways to make them very practical in your life. So that it is not just some mumbo jumbo in the heavenlies. It's also, hey, it can help me have a relationship with people who society thinks I shouldn't have a relationship with because I have the love of God inside of me.
And the sad part is they don't let you talk about Jesus. So I'm going to go to work today and I'm going to talk about Jesus all day long. I'm going to talk about him until they get sick. And I realized that a lot of people couldn't stand me because I'd go to the job and I'd preach the word of God.
But you know how attractive that was to me?
What?
You talking about God and Jesus. He one time, and we're going to get off of here because we could just keep on talking. But one time, we were hanging out. That was one of our dates, remember? And we were up in Buffalo Wild Wings. You know where I'm going. Mm-hmm. At 2 o'clock in the morning. And, we're with some friends. And I don't know how much they know the Lord at the time. I don't believe they were really, interested in talking about it. But he started at 2 o'clock in the morning. He started talking about Jesus. And there weren't that many people still in Buffalo Wild Wings, but everybody kind of came to a halt to listen to this voice boom out about Jesus Christ at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I looked at that man and I said, oh, God, if I could marry that. Anybody who had enough, courage to talk about Jesus wherever they were at whatever time and not feel like it wasn't preachy. He did not need a podium. He did not need a Bible. He was just talking about his personal experience with this man named Jesus. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, that's the man for me. I was trying to run off with him. I just stood there in awe and looked at him because I said, so many people are ashamed of their relationship. They go to church, but as soon as they get out of church, they go to work, they don't hear about Jesus again.
Exactly.
You don't hear about
Exactly,
Jesus
yeah.
all week long.
You minister this and you
You go to
minister
the
that.
store, you don't
in
hear
church.
about Jesus.
What's up, Minister Yolanda? Hey, Minister Ralph, how you doing, Minister Ralph, Minister Yolanda? And then next thing you know, they go to work, and it's I ain't no minister here. No, I need this promotion, you know, and things like that. So I understand that same person that they're talking about. A lot of y'all know and familiar with, and know I probably won't win this guy over because I've been knowing him over 20 years, and I call him my big brother. A lot of y'all about to know what I'm about to talk about real quick, like. But anyway,
Make it quick, 'cause I'm hungry.
yeah, it's gonna be real quick, quick. But anyway, he told me this weekend that he didn't want to be my friend anymore. He said, and I ain't talked to the dude in about a week. I ain't talked to him since last week. We ain't had no argument or whatever. And I'm like, where'd this come from? How all of a sudden you don't want to be my friend anymore? Talking about, you know, you hurt me, you get on my nerves, and you're really disturbing, and all types of stuff like that. Now the dude called me like 11 o'clock, and you know he normally don't call me until he need a ride or something like that. But he called me like that morning, right, when we was out. No, he called me when we was out watching Manny Fresh, on our way to watch Manny Fresh. I missed his call. I called him back. Obviously, if you don't answer the phone when he calls you, and then he'll find another opportunity to where he don't need you no more. You know what I'm saying? So you call him back, he's already straight. So he won't answer the phone now because he's straight. So then next thing you know, 2 hours later, he calls me back. I missed the call, of course. So then next thing you know, I call him back. I left him a message. Then I called him back again. And then he answered the phone. And all of a sudden, he just went off over nothing. I don't know whether he was drunk. I really don't know what went on with the situation, but it came out of nowhere. And I sort of understand. I understand the person. I really don't pay that any attention like some people do who really don't know him, because I know he is mama's only boy and all of that stuff, and he's dealing. Yeah, I know the history of him. I'm familiar with the history of him, and I know how he acts. He wants to be a dominant type person, but around those friends around certain type of friends that he's around, he's cool. Like, and this is somebody who I talk about on an ordinary basis that people don't catch on to, but he catches on. But he says, as long as you don't say my name, you straight, right? But, you know, like, you're around people who want you to be who they are, or who don't want you to basically go to that next level. So, of course, that night, of course, that was very disturbing to him to talk about the love of God, because, of course, he don't see that outside of me and outside of his father. He don't hear that on an ordinary basis.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you get around these type of people, you can be who they want you to be, but you get around this set of people, and it's like, nah, they ain't like the people over there. They talking a whole nother game. And when you talking about the same thing that a person is talking about in their 50s, now you're 40 years old talking about the same thing that somebody of another generation, of an older generation that's doing, and I'm younger than the son, I'm younger than that person that's being connected to these other people who ain't talking about the same thing I'm talking about. That's disturbing. Can you imagine? So you go around, okay, you got Ronnie on here, right? And you go around Ronnie, and you could be, that's how you know we freestyle, but
Definitely, because I'm hungry. Go ahead.
Listen, but you go around Ronnie, right? And Ronnie's telling you, like, you and Ronnie shooting the breeze about, you know, drinking, about men that you're sleeping with, or men that you're sleeping with. I'm just saying.
Conversation.
Okay, so you go around Ronnie with that conversation. Then you go around Jennifer, and Jennifer is just talking to you about the love of God and telling you everything that Ronnie crowd, different outside of what Ronnie crowd is telling you, that you don't hear on an ordinary basis. And so then next thing you know, let's just say your mother was living or your father was living, and they're talking about the same thing that Jennifer is talking about. But you got this crowd over here with plenty of temptation that make you feel good about what you're doing. Of course, you ain't going to want to be around Jennifer, and you ain't going to want to hear when you're hearing the same thing that your parents are telling you. You know, so I understand that. And I accept that. You know. But one thing about me is I'll always be a true friend, and I will always go against the masses if you know me. I will always, and I got that from my daddy, and God created me in order to deal with that situation of, and he had me around the right person in order to know how to deal with going against the masses. That's why I do what I do. I'm not the type of person to follow. My daddy was a leader. My mama in her own way is a leader. So God developed me to lead and have great examples of leadership. Now, they didn't have entrepreneurship, idea of entrepreneurship like I did with all the education that they had, and me with no education, no paperwork education at least, no paperwork behind me to say that I've advanced in entrepreneurship, but I'm still pursuing entrepreneurship. I'm still pursuing ministry. I'm doing what my parents never done. They did what their siblings and their parents never done, but I'm doing what my parents never done. So on that, I'm going to leave that on that note, with all the education that they have and all the education that the surroundings who downed me about being a janitor and all types of stuff and didn't want to have a relationship with me because I was a janitor or continue a relationship with me because I was a janitor. I'm doing what you ain't doing. And that's by the grace of God.
Amen.
That's by the relationship of God. And I look at it every day. No, I'm not a millionaire. No, I'm not making money, but it's all in God's time, and I'm not rushing or getting over on people in order to be a millionaire like most of y'all are doing out of greed and trying to get over on people just to say I'm going to make a quick dollar and hurry up. No, that's all in God's time, because I can be rich today and it'll all be gone tomorrow. I could be rich and miserable, and I don't want to be rich and miserable. So we're going to go on that note. Do you want to end it with a tongue kiss? Or,
No, what? Oh, Jesus.
Or, you know. Yeah.
It may be bedroom talk, but we're not tongue kissing on the dog.
No, you don't want tongue kiss?
No.
You want to kiss me on the cheek?
I'm going to kiss you right on the doggone forehead.
I know that ain't strong enough. They need to see something more. Okay? Go ahead. Do what you was doing this morning.
Now, you know what? Hush. I tell people.
But anyway, we love you, but God loves you more.
Bye-bye.